I think I know a lot of you guys. We've and girls helped with evaluations. I think you may have heard me come in and talk to you at the beginning of the year. One of the things Joe didn't mention was we also have KCTC students that we've hired and placed at Meijer. Job shadowing, actual full-time jobs. So, yeah, this is something I'm really passionate about, and I take time out of my day to do it because I had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way growing up, and I've been fortunate to be where I'm at in my career today. So I'll be telling you guys the things that most people don't know. So Joe's right when he says that it gives you an advantage. It gives you a real advantage. So if you want to listen and ask me questions today, you're just going to have a leg up on everybody else. If you don't want to, that's okay. But take advantage of me being here. I'm going to share all the things that people kind of miss during their interview process. And hopefully you guys will use that and get the jobs that you want. So you want me to just start, Joe?
Yes.
Great. So let's start with the job process. When you guys look for a job, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find a job description out there. They're looking for, I'm just going to use something generic, like a network administrator or maybe a level 1 support personnel at the help desk of an organization. The first tip that I have for you guys is take that job, look at it, and make notes on everything that they're looking for and why you're the right person for it. So a lot of times people come in and they interview with us just because they want a job. They don't care what the job is. They just want a job. The people that really get a leg up are ones that have looked at that job description and said, you know what, good. They want some network technology background. Work with Cisco switches. I worked with Cisco switches at KCTC. A+ or other certifications preferred, right? You'll see that a lot. If you have those certifications, it's one of the things Meijer does is help pay for those for you. Highlight that. So that way, when you sit down, you start talking to me, first thing you're going to do when I say, so what brings you in today? You're going to be able to tell me that I saw a posting for a level 1 help desk. And I looked at the requirements and I'm a really good fit for that. And then I'm going to start, why are you a good fit for that? Tell me more about that. If you guys are ready and you've read it and you've got notes and you're prepared, you can say, well, first of all, you asked for background in Windows. We spent a lot of time at KCTC working with Windows environment. I know how to configure Windows, do basic troubleshooting, connect to the network. As you're telling me these things, it not only shows me that you're qualified, which I know you are because you're not going to be talking to me unless you're qualified, but it shows that you actually took time to be prepared. Now, we talk about that a lot in the going professional when we talk about going pro, just being prepared. Number 2, when you come in for that interview, be on time. And when I say be on time, I mean be early, like 15 to 20 minutes early. So the day before, figure out where the office is at. Drive by, where are you going to be meeting? There's no excuse to ever be late. If you come late to a job interview, I can almost guarantee you're not going to get considered for the job. So always be early, 15 to 20 minutes early, and be prepared. Do your background on the job and your background on the company. Yeah.
When I was telling we hired a principal this summer,
Yep.
and I was on the interview team, one of our candidates was late. He went to the wrong building on our campus. Right?
Happens a lot at Meijer.
So we're talking like, yeah, a professional level person should have known better, right?
Yep.
That just didn't play very well with the interview committee when he shows up to the wrong building, comes 20 minutes late, apologizing. I mean, on one hand, it's understandable, but on the other hand, it's like, you probably post the address where to show up, right?
You do. You do. Being prepared matters. So that's number 1. Understand the job you're applying for. Be ready to talk about it, why you're the right person for it. Most people don't do that. So you really stand out when you do. Number 3 now would be a cover letter. We talked about this earlier when I was here today. The other thing people don't do that really stands out is if you think that you're the right person, like you, for example, if you're the right person for the job, what you should do is take and write a 1-paragraph cover letter on your resume. All right. That cover letter, what's your name? Hey, Jose. That cover letter should say, thank you for the opportunity to apply for this help desk job. My name is Jose. I believe that I'm the right person. I've researched Meijer. I've researched the position. Not only do I have the right qualifications, but I'm excited to be a part of the Meijer team. Something really short like that, right? What that does is, 1, it differentiates you because most people don't do cover letters anymore. They just apply for the job and send you a resume. That's pretty cold, right? I mean, there's nothing really personal about that. So if you want to stand out, make a little cover letter, make it part of the resume. Now, remember that cover letter should be custom for the job you're applying for. So don't make the mistake of making a cover letter for one job and then submitting that to another job, because that'd be a big mistake, right? So cover letters are important. Yes, sir.
So I should not interrupt him
No,
now,
man.
but first session, he wanted to have a chair because he wanted to relax and make this more of a dialogue where we had you guys talking. So I'm just bringing over this chair because I forgot to give it to him earlier if he wants it. But we had people ask, honestly, guys, they're like, I don't know what a cover letter is.
I couldn't get through a sentence without a question. So I want that from you guys too. So I'll ask, because I asked the first class, but do you guys mind if I sit down and talk to you? All right. Well, thank you for that. I just didn't want to assume. So I wanted to respect your guys' wishes. So cover letters, that's one of the things we talk about, right? To differentiate yourself. Has anybody got a question about that? Are you familiar with what those are? Or have you ever talked about that when preparing your resumes? Yeah. What do you want to discuss? You want to discuss who you are, right? So what's your name? Thomas. Well, I've worked with you before. I remember, right? So yeah, you want to say something about you, right? My name is Thomas. I'm a student at KCTC. I saw this job for network administrator, right? I believe I have the qualifications and I'm excited to have an opportunity to speak with you. So it's just a brief introduction. It says that I've looked at this, and you may talk about the things, right? I see that you require the following certifications. As you'll see from my resume attached, I have those certifications and believe I'm well qualified for this position. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? Introduce yourself, talk about the job, state that you believe you're fully qualified for the position and you're excited for the opportunity. It's just a really nice way of, think about it. If I've never seen you before and I just get a resume with technical skills that come across my desk with 40 others, right? I don't know anything about those people. So the ones that take time to just introduce themselves and say they're thankful for an opportunity, that stands out. So it doesn't have to be a lot. Your instructors here can always help you with that. There's lots of resources online for it. Yes, sir.
For when we come into an interview, are you okay with people bringing in notes?
Yeah, I actually am. And I'm glad you asked that, because we talked about this earlier and this is really important. One of the things you guys can do, and I'm telling you, I'm giving you all the secrets here to land the job. You will too. If you do these things, you're going to land the jobs, because most people don't do this. Always bring a copy of your resume and that cover letter with you. Always. Multiple copies. Go to a copy machine, make several copies, put them in a folder. Just bring a little manila folder with you, right? Because when I sit down, first thing you can do is hand me that, right? Shake my hand. Always stand up, right? When you're meeting someone, stand up, shake their hand, tell them thank you, give them a copy of your resume and cover letter. I've already got one, but I've probably forgot it, or I didn't have time to print it, right? So it helps for me to have that in front of me, and it shows you're prepared. Always bring notes. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and tell you guys something else. Bringing notes means that you've been thoughtful. You've thought about what's important, what you want to talk to me about and ask me. When you do that, it helps with being nervous, because you're all going to be nervous in job interviews. If you're not, you're lucky, right? I get nervous. I'm nervous talking to you guys. I get nervous every time I talk. When you sit down for a job, you should be nervous. If it's something you care about, you want to do good, right? If you find yourself nervous, refer to your notes and call out that you're nervous. First thing you can do anytime that you feel uncomfortable is just kind of laugh about it and say, I'm really nervous to be here. This is a good opportunity. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. When people say that, everybody laughs and it's like, it's okay. Everybody's nervous, right? But at least then you've got your notes and you can say, I'm just going to refer to my notes because I'm just really nervous right now. I say that anytime I'm speaking and I get nervous, I just call it out. So, yeah. So now you've got a job, you studied it, you've put together a cover letter, you've got your copies, your resumes, you get the job interview. So you come in and sit down. We talked about being on time is critical. Don't ever be late. That's one of the worst things you can do. Always use manners. We talk about going professional here. Have respect for other people. Stand up, shake their hand. Let's see, keep eye contact when you're talking to people is really important. And ask questions to me, all right, when you're in there, because there will always be a part of your job interview where they say, what questions do you have for me? Man, what do you think the worst thing you can do if I ask you that question? What's the wrong response?
You answer them all.
You got it, right? Or that one. I get that one a lot. That's a good one, right? You've answered all my questions. Have I? Because what you guys should be concerned about, and what I want you to remember, whether you go into an IT job or just any career, is you're wondering, is this job right here that I've applied for, this looks like the right job for me, but is the company right for me? Right? So you should be asking, why is this position available? Right? Because you should want to know, did somebody get terminated? And if so, why? And what can I do to be successful in this job? You can ask, what are the most important qualities that you're looking for in a candidate? You can ask, what's the culture like at Meijer? Because some of you, is there anybody in here that's not really a team player but likes to just kind of go out on their own? I'm sure there are. Yeah, right. I could be a real introvert, have social anxiety disorder, the whole 9 yards. I like to just know what needs to be done and go after it. Some cultures that works, right? Some places that's what they want. Meijer, it's not. Meijer wants team players. Meijer wants people that can work with others. So you hear that a lot. But different teams and different jobs have different requirements for personality types. So you want to ask about that. Just ask me, what are you looking for in a candidate? And then really listen to what I'm saying, right? That's really important. You never want to be caught off guard and say, no, I don't have any questions. Because that shows me you're not that interested. You just want a job, any job, not this job, right? Let's see. What's next, Joe? You were here this morning.
What's that?
You were here this morning.
Yeah, well, we really want to talk about when they get the job and they're sitting down at the job interview, how they should prepared. What can they do ahead of that job interview to make sure they make it through the filters? Maybe to get even invited to an interview.
Yeah, great. Yeah, good question. So one of the advantages that you all have, I think that a lot of other people don't have, is you've got KCTC. So you've got IT skills that I never had when I was your age, right? One of the things you can do is you can reference your instructors at KCTC. You can let Joe know, or you can put in your resume that you're a student at KCTC. We've worked with Philip Keebler. He's come out and spoke to us. We're really excited about Meijer. You know what that's going to do for you? The hiring manager is going to come to me and say, here's a student from KCTC. I may not remember you, but what I will do is tell them, I know all about that program. I know the instructors. I know how hard they work. We should bring them in and give them an opportunity, right? So it gives you a leg up. It's one of the things that we can do, and the reason I invest so much time with you guys is to try to get you. My goal is to get each of you in the career that you want, and you can get there. You just have to really take everything I'm saying to heart and apply it. You don't have to, but if you want to be successful, do it. Leverage your resources, your contacts, and your network. You know, we talk a lot about personal brand and building a network of people that you know. That's critical. And you guys know me, right? I've worked with all of you, I think, a little bit. So say that, right? We know Philip Keebler, and we'd love an opportunity to interview. They're at least going to come to me and say, what do you think? And you guys know how I'll respond. I'm a huge fan of this school and the work that you guys do. Yes.
When someone's putting down KCTC on their resume, where do you guys preferably look for that?
In the education section, yeah. And so, you know, it's really important to list your certifications, list your education. And if you guys are involved in any extracurricular activities, maybe it's with your church, maybe it's volunteer activities, you know, outside of KCTC, whatever it is, put them down there, right? So you've got an opportunity to list. If you guys check out my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I've got every advisory board that I serve on listed there. You should do the same thing. Build a brand and let people know I participated in this after school activity with this group at church, with this, you know, volunteer organization. That's really important. Don't take any opportunity to kind of talk about who you are and what you do and miss it. You know, I want to see that stuff. Everybody does. Yes, sir.
Would BPA be a good example?
Say that again, sir.
Would BPA be a good example?
Can you tell me what BPA means?
Business professionals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think on my LinkedIn profile, I've got that I was a member of Toastmasters International, that I attended Dale Carnegie's. And if you're wondering what Toastmasters is, it's an international organization that helps you with public speaking. So it helps you get over the fear of that. It's been around for a very long time. It's just something I do on my, you know, on the side, my time. But yeah, you want to list those things. They matter. I had another question over here. Did you?
They basically cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. when you are in. Or,
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of covered it, right? But yeah, you really want to think about that. What is the brand? Who are you as a person, right? Because there are a million job applicants, right? So you got to think about, how do I differentiate myself? And we'll talk about being professional and how to dress professionally for the interview in a second. But Mr. Pepper.
And after you dress professionally for that interview, when you show up here, we will have made arrangements with the photography department, and we will get a very nice headshot of you so that you can build a professional LinkedIn profile. So that's all coming up.
So that is exciting. And when Mr. Pepper said that earlier today, hey, that's a huge opportunity. We're going to come in and help you guys with applications and interviews. Do that. Put your suit on, or put your shirt and tie on, whatever you have, but just have it be pressed and look your absolute best. When I was growing up, we used to call it Sunday best, right? We put on our church clothes, and we wanted to look as good as possible. Do that, because these headshots they're offering, that's pretty sweet. You guys can put those on your LinkedIn profiles. You want them to be professional. Sorry. Yes.
You are a VP Meijer. You are very important. You are super duper in charge of all these people. You've never hired anything yourself.
Okay, so if I haven't told you guys this before, I went to ITT, Technical Institute. It's no longer around. It's closed, right? I got a bachelor's degree in electronics engineering. My first job, the way that I got to where I'm at today, luckily my mom taught me to iron my clothes. I had to put myself through college, and all of my clothes were from Goodwill. I had found a lot of great shirts. They were all too big for me. I had pretty ratty shoes, but I shined my shoes all the time, and I ironed my clothes every morning. And I still look back, and I know that from starting at a very entry-level job, I didn't have a bachelor's degree from Harvard or Yale or Michigan State or U of M like everybody else had. But what I did have was, I tried to differentiate myself. I wanted to look good every single day. Regardless of what I had on, I wanted it to look its best. So I ironed my clothes myself every single morning. I got up early and did that. And my really ratty shoes, I polished and made sure they looked as good as possible. And I'll tell you, people all around me didn't do that, but I did. And when you guys do that, when you take that extra step, make sure your facial hair is groomed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, people around you aren't going to do that. And your whole life, you're going to be faced with people saying, I shouldn't have to do that, right? I should be able to be myself. Why should I have to do that? Well, you're right. You don't have to. But if you want to achieve everything that you want out of life, you've got to be willing to do that. You got to care about yourself, care about your appearance, and care about how much work you put into looking your best every day, because it will differentiate yourself. I can look around me at Meijer, and I can tell you exactly who stands out. And you'd know when you get there. A lot of the first level support desk people wear shirt and tie every day. They don't have to, but you know what I think when I see them? I mean, it's obvious, right? Look, they're doing everything they can. And those people get noticed, and they rise through the ranks. So it's really important stuff. I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Pepper. Thanks. Okay. What are the main topics we talk about this morning, Joe? Mr. Pepper?
I definitely have more to say. Everybody in the room knows that I have the ability to talk. So I'd love to hear what you guys want to hear from Mr. Keeler. That's the most important. You guys are in seats. You all want a job someday, whether it's in IT or not. That's okay. He knows a lot about other jobs and other industries too.
And we, and by the way, we had a ton of good questions, even really hard questions this morning. It was
a hard one.
Yeah, it was awesome. Try to put me back on my heels. See if you can rattle me. Yes, sir.
Why do I have to wear dress socks?
It's a great question.
I went to a dance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
My mom.
Yeah, that makes sense. My mom would yell at me too. The truth is, here's the interesting thing about socks. There's a real trend. When I worked at Finish Line, I was in charge of all their infrastructure, operations, and security. You know, the athletic shoe retailer. Our top executives, now this was like 9 years ago, none of them wore socks because that was the trend. If you were real fashion forward, you didn't wear socks with your loafers, right? I thought it was super weird. I just wore gray and black socks pulled all the way up to my knees. I mean, that's it. Nowadays, people wear the funniest socks, right? Weird colors and patterns. Socks don't matter, right? I would say this. If you've got a suit on, don't have on athletic socks and tennis shoes, all right? But be creative with your socks. You can wear what socks you want. Glad you asked that. There's some old school ways of thinking. And we had a question earlier this morning about hair. A guy asked me, how do you recommend I wear my hair? He's got long hair. And I laughed at that because here's the thing you guys should know. You may not be sitting down in front of me to talk to me. And if you sit down in front of me, I really don't care that much if you've got different hair, if you've got gauges in your ears, if you have a piercing. That's not something I worry about because I hire a lot of security folks and we can be a little quirky. But you don't know who you're going to be sitting down across from, right? So just be thoughtful in that if you choose to have hair down to your back, if you choose to have a piercing in your face, if you choose to just dress and be yourself, you may find yourself across from somebody that's not comfortable with that, right? So it's, I can't give you, I'd always say err on the side of caution. Just, Bob, athletic socks and tennis shoes, not good. But if you've got on a pair of dress shoes with your slacks and shirt, and you've got on brightly colored socks because that's what you like, I don't think anybody will pay attention to that, right? That's a good question, though. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Like, what about smiling? Because, like, what if you have a really bad fake smile? Stuff like that.
You mean like me? It's the worst. That's why I don't like taking pictures. It doesn't matter if you got a bad fake smile. Here's the thing. Why would you have to fake a smile if you were coming in for an interview?
Like for like the profiles on LinkedIn, stuff like that. You guys notice stuff like that? No. I would say this, though. If you come in for an interview, no, absolutely not. Matter of fact, my boss isn't known for smiling. He is a really, really great person. He's not known for smiling. I've seen it 3 times in like 10 years. Don't worry about that. But what you should do is, so some people in their pictures, it's very serious, right? Some people are being, big smiler face, doesn't matter. But during an interview, just be okay with smiling, right? I mean, don't act. I've been accused of this, by the way. Our CEO accused me of this during a meeting one day that what was wrong with Phil? He was acting like so serious and all starched up. Well, I didn't think he wanted me to be myself, and have a smile on my face and enjoy the process. So I was trying to fit into a mold that he wanted me to fit into. If you're naturally a happy person and you smile, don't try to hide that, right? So if you really can't smile during an interview, you sure you want to be there? I mean, you should be excited for the opportunity, right? Okay. Yes.
I have a question. All of them, you guys are strict like that.
Oh, you better believe it. Man, you guys all better believe it. There's not one person that applies for a job that we don't look into your background, which is why, listen, you guys be really careful what you're doing on social media. Grand Rapids is a small town. I think you guys all know that. I'm sure that you're all of your parents either know me or know somebody that knows me. So even if you've got your social media profile locked down, just be super careful with it. We check backgrounds, absolutely, every source we can. You can learn a lot about somebody from their social media. It's amazing, right? Most people should. If you think it doesn't come back to haunt you, you guys want a real quick story? I love stories. How much time do we have? Well, what time's class in? Oh, all right. Quick story. So this was 10 years ago. I was director of information security for a company called Herf Jones, and I had a guy come. He had applied. I actually didn't know I was interviewing him, but about 15 minutes beforehand, I got his resume. He was applying for a network engineer job. He worked at Comcast doing cable installation. He knew a lot about basic network protocol. And so I was like, great. Oh, this is great. Well, let me Google real quick. And I Googled real quick. And 3 weeks earlier, he had been arrested in downtown Indianapolis for assault on a police officer because he got in a brawl and was arrested for assault on a police officer. And I found this out 5 minutes before walking into. That's why I always Google people. Yeah. Needless to say, that was a super awkward interview. Because when I was sitting with him, I thought, ooh. I mean, I was willing to give the guy a chance. He was just doing cable installation. He was applying for a network engineer job. I was going to give him a shot. But that little mistake, remember this, I always tell people, you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. So he chose the behavior, and it cost him a job, at least with me that day. I wasn't comfortable with it. Yes, sir.
What are some turn-offs when you look at people's social media?
Turn-offs?
Yeah, like what do you guys look for?
Being very political, being intolerant.
right? Meijer is a company, and me personally, diversity and inclusion is really important. So regardless of how you identify or who you are as a person, we should celebrate each other's differences and give everybody an opportunity. When you're on social media and you're talking about how you hate this person or you hate this political thing or you don't understand this, if you guys were to ever check out my Facebook, there is literally never any posts except for like my family posts a picture of my mom and dad and I like it. I say I love those two, right? But that's it. I don't get involved in it. Sure, I have my beliefs and my feelings on things. It's not my place to share it with the world. And you guys shouldn't all be, if you're doing that today, just don't. You're welcome to your opinions and beliefs. But let me ask you guys a question. If you share something, let's say political, how you feel about a candidate or president or whatever it is, and there's somebody that reads that about you that feels differently, because we all have our own beliefs and thoughts in this world. That person is going to not want anything to do with you at that point, right? Like, let's just say you're bashing on somebody and this candidate and their beliefs. I'm immediately going to feel like I can't ever get to know you, right? Because we have these really differences of opinions and we're never going to work through them because you've expressed very clearly on social media how you feel about it. Well, what you've done is you've prevented us from ever getting to know each other. You've prevented me from ever being in your network, and you've excluded anybody that doesn't believe that way. So practice diversity in thought, diversity in opinions, but don't post it. You don't need the world to know. In one-on-one conversations, have that conversation. But just know when you post it out there, the guy that's going to hire you may see that, may think differently, and that may affect their opinion and their decision. So choose behavior, choose the consequences. Keep that stuff where it belongs, and certainly it's not in public, in my opinion. Yes, ma'am.
What if you have a really good resume, but you don't do so good at it, and does that have an effect on getting the job?
A lot. It has a lot of impact. You know, you can have a, yeah.
So, like, if you do, like, kind of okay on the interview, but you have a really, really good resume.
Yep.
The way that interview.
A little bit louder. Are you asking him what to do if you don't talk loud enough?
No. You want to try one more time? You want to do it? Let's bellow it out this time.
If you have a phenomenal like resume, like better than anyone else,
yep,
but you do okay on the interview, which is way more, the interview or the resume?
It's a really good question. It really depends. There's not a cookie cutter answer here. The resume is really important, but I would tell you that the interview is equally as important. And the reason I say that is, we talked about this last period. Candidates will never check every box, right? You'll have some experience, but I'm going to be asking things in a job that you're not going to be an expert at, right? Those can be taught. Interviews are really your opportunity to tell me who you are and find out if we are somebody that you want to work for, right? So, bless you. So you want to really, and that's why it's important to show you're interested. Ask me questions. And if you're nervous, just say, sorry, I'm really nervous, but I'm really excited about this opportunity, so I'm nervous. And that's okay. And I'll tell you, we'll break the ice with you, make you feel better. But they're equally as important. A resume, and let me explain why. You could have a perfect background, but be a wrong cultural fit, right? So you may be somebody that absolutely cannot work with people. And you say that, right? I'm more of a self-starter. I like to work alone, get my requirements. We get people that say that all the time. But the job that we're hiring for may require you to work collaboratively. You can cut that and edit it with a bigger team, right? So that's why the interview is important, because it helps us know who you are and what you're looking for. And it helps you know who we are and what we're looking for. And if it's not a right fit, you don't want to work there. If we want something that you're not, you don't want to be miserable. You should love your job. Does that help?
It does.
Okay, you're welcome. Yes, sir.
So, if we were going to line up the three of us teachers in the line and put like the best person at networking and then the second best, it's pretty much going to go Lake, Bradley, and me. I'm going to be the worst at networking out of the three of us. And that doesn't mean that I still can't become good at networking or get a job as a networking engineer or anything. But kind of like first session, there's a group of young adults here. And a lot of them came here with no experience whatsoever with IT. It's just they want to see if they like it, see if it's for them.
Yep.
And some of them came here with prior knowledge, and they know that that is the job that they want to do. Do you have any advice or any, like, I just want you to, I don't think some of these kids still realize that they can get great jobs in IT by not being the absolute top tier network engineer. There's hundreds and thousands of other jobs that are still available for them if they keep working this path, these credentials.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can speak to that.
Yeah, I can actually. So, and this kind of goes back to your question a little bit that you just asked. What's your name?
Maya.
Maya. When I'm interviewing personally, I'm not looking for somebody that has all the skills to fill. Like right now, I have an application security engineer job posted. It is a very high paying job in the security world to help us with secure development practices, right? So you got to have a little bit of development background, got to have a little bit of knowledge of security. I'm not going to find a candidate that fits that, right? I'm going to find a bunch of candidates that are going to apply that have little parts of that. Well, I studied a little bit of programming in school. I studied a little bit of security in school. Those people, when I pull those resumes together and interview them, one of the things that's going to be just as important is what we talked about, right? You don't have to check every box. I want to know, are you going to get along with the team? You know, are you really passionate about this job opportunity? Is it something you really want? And I'm going to know that because of the way, have you prepared, right? Have you told me I really want this opportunity because I promise you I'm the right person for the job? And you got to convince me of that. You don't have to have all that background, Mr. Pepper. You just have to have a desire. You got to present yourself professionally. You got to do the homework. And you got to sell yourself to me that I need you. You're the right one for the job. Doesn't matter if it's in IT or not. We say this all the time. You can teach technical skills. What I can't teach people is work ethic, right? Are you going to come to work on time every day? Can I count on you to be there and not leave early because I'm not watching you? You don't clock in and out, right? Are you just going to be one of those people that kind of do the bare minimum, that don't get involved? Or are you going to be somebody that puts his best foot forward? And if you are, you're going to succeed. I don't care what the job is. I came into this job very entry level. This is not what I wanted to do at all. No degree from Harvard or Yale or any of those big schools. But I just put my best foot forward every day. My father taught me work ethic, and it's really important to me. And I'll tell you, I can't train you to be on time and to pride yourself in that kind of stuff. I can teach you how to be a security engineer. As a matter of fact, I'll send you to training every year. All of my team members go to training once a year, and they get a certification once a year. It's a requirement. We send them away somewhere, like sunny Florida, where they do 7 days of real intense training, every single person. You're not going to know everything when you start. It's that desire, that passion, and your commitment to being the best you can be that's going to get you hired. And then we'll see from there. And I've given people opportunities that have very little background. Two of the most successful people that work for me today came to work for me at Bass Pro Shops many years ago, and had one of them worked at Pick Apart. Do you guys know what that is? The other one worked at J.C. Penney in their warehouse. But they had a passion for IT, so I hired them both in the help desk as level 1 support, bottom level. In 4 years, both of those now, one works at Meijer, and he's in charge of all of our executive support. So he does all the support for, the family, the Meijer family, all of our senior executives. He's also a security engineer. He's in a highly coveted position, and he's been in IT 4 years. And he's earned every single one of those. He's now got a ton of certifications. He was named Bass Pro's Employee of the Year out of 45,000 other people. A guy that came from Pick Apart. So it really doesn't matter, Mr. Pepper. It's about the effort that you put in. And when you do that, you will succeed. So it's just how bad you guys want it and what you're willing to do for it. Yes, sir.
So I'm sure you've seen a lot of good and bad in your time. If you could just paint like a brief picture, okay, of an interview that would almost guarantee you the job.
Yeah.
What would that be? What would be the most important topics to cover?
So that's a really good question. Number one, like I said before, be prepared. So come in, don't act like you're just now looking at the job description in front of me. That's terrible. Be prepared. Put on your best, right? I don't care what, I'm telling you, I don't care what quality clothes you are, shoes you're wearing. Just put on your best. Put your best effort forward. Be on time early. Don't make me wait. If you're late, that's terrible. Have a copy of your resume. These are all the keys. Copy of your resume and cover letter. Be prepared to ask me questions. You're never going to get past that if you have no questions. If you're sitting down to interview, I'm telling you all right now, and you say, No questions. I'm good. It's terrible. Be ready with some questions, and you can Google them. The questions are out there that you can ask, or you can ask me. You can shoot me a message on LinkedIn or ask one of your instructors. Be professional, right? Shake people's hands when you come in the room. Just be thoughtful about what you're doing. Do you know, I had a guy once that put his feet up on the desk during an interview. I was, where was I? I was at Rolls-Royce Aerospace, and it happened. And I remember this to this day. He put his feet up on the desk. I was interviewing with another, Andrew Dills was the guy's name I was interviewing with, and this guy put his feet up. We laughed. It was like, well, nope. So just be aware of stuff like that. Some of it seems obvious, but just sit down, sit up straight, be engaged, ask questions. That's a perfect interview. That is a perfect interview. Bad interviews, not asking questions, not showing up on time, not being prepared, looking like you didn't put any effort into it at all. I've had people come in jeans for an interview for an executive job. Nope, terrible idea. So all that kind of stuff. That help?
I have a follow-up.
Yeah, please.
What is the best question you've ever heard or experienced? You can remember.
Well, oh man, that's really tough. I think, honestly, I think it was, believe it or not, one that I love, I guess. I don't know if it's the best I've ever been asked because I've interviewed hundreds of people over the years. But what I think the most important characteristics of a candidate in this position are, because it forces me to tell you the secrets to what I'm looking for. So what is it that you're looking for in a candidate, aside from what you've got in the description? Tell me what's the most important characteristics. And when you ask me that, you're forcing me then to divulge to you all the things that are important for you to get that job. And what that allows you to do is then talk about it. And you could say, if I said, well, the most important thing is that you're able to work with a cross-functional team, right? That you have great work ethic, that you're going to be here, that you can be on call 24/7, 365, because we get attacked 365 days a year, 24/7, right? I need to know that you have good grammatical skills because you're going to be writing a lot. There's going to be extensive communication. I need to know, after I get done going through those, then what you can do is now you're prepared, right? You can say, I'm glad you told me that because communication is very important to me. And I understand the importance of effective communication. I'm available 24/7. I live here locally in Grand Rapids, and, I don't mind. Anytime, day or night that you need me, I'll be there. Actually, at KCTC, we spend a lot of time working collaboratively in teams, and I understand the importance of being able to work with a team. You see what I've done there in that interview? You asked me that question, I told you, and now you're able to relate it back. In an earlier session today, one of the things we talked about, help me out here, Joe. How did the topic earlier came up with ending the interview? So ending the interview, the one question, if you don't take anything away from today, take this away from today, because this will set you apart from everyone else. At the end of your interview, I want you to ask the person, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that makes you doubt that I'm the perfect person for this job? All right. Now, you can phrase that how you want, but you get what I'm asking, right? And the reason that that's a real pro tip when it comes to interviews is I'm going to do a little demonstration if you guys are okay with this, or a little role play here. What's your name?
Thomas.
Thomas. Great. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor. Since you guys have been talking, I'm going to Thomas and Connor. All right. So we're going to we're going to wrap up an interview with Connor. Connor, thanks. I appreciate it. I think I've got everything I need. We'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you. And you leave, right? Now I want you to do what I just told you to do. Okay. Thomas, right? I really appreciate you coming in today. I think I've got everything I need. We'll be in touch.
Wait, last day.
Yep, it's fine.
I'd like to ask you one last question.
Oh, sure.
Is there any doubt in your mind? And if so, I'd like you to tell me that I am not the perfect candidate because I want to help you and I want to be there for this company. I really want this job. So I would like, us to convey to each other what we can do for each other.
All right. Actually, Thomas, the only thing that I'm not sure on is your understanding of the OSI model. It's really important to this job. I didn't see it in your resume. You didn't really mention it. I'd say I'm just a little concerned about your knowledge of the OSI model.
Okay.
So now you see what I did there for you? If you were to respond to me with, well, I'm really glad you brought that up. We studied the OSI model in depth at KCTC. I actually know the OSI model and be happy to cover that with you. What's happened is you don't get the job now, right? You don't. I know this really sucks, Connor, but Thomas, what you've done there by asking me that question is you went from being another resume in the pile, and I would have went to you next and got your resume and brought you in, and maybe you would have covered and ticked off more of the boxes. The person that asks that question gets an opportunity to clear up any doubt in the interviewer's mind. And it's something that people usually don't do, and it can make the difference between you getting the job and you not getting the job. Because all I wanted to know was, the OSI model. But I'm not going to pull that stuff out of you necessarily. You're going to give me all the info, and in the back of my mind, I'm going to think, it was good, but not quite. But maybe I'm missing something. So you're giving me an opportunity. And that's one of my favorite questions for people to ask.
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
The students, and we'll try to wrap up. So we ask them to work pretty hard. We really want them to get A+ certified. And we know that that's probably the hardest thing these kids have ever done academically, and the amount of time and effort that they have to put in it. In your opinion, is that a legit cert that they should put that kind of effort in? And then what kind of payoff do you see people in their career once they get those certs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there's anybody, does anybody in here doubt that's not a legit cert to go after? You don't have to be embarrassed and raise your hand, but
if you're fence sitting, you're not sure. I mean, we know that
man,
a lot of people have the ability, but we're not seeing it work.
Well, listen, certifications are so important. What we're talking about today is how you differentiate yourself from somebody else in an interview process. It's a number of ways. Certifications are a big one. You'll talk to old IT people that'll tell you don't need certifications. If you ever hear people telling you that, ignore them. They're wrong. You do need them. You need them because in that interview where I'm talking to Connor and Thomas has a certification that Connor doesn't have, you've got a leg up on Connor now because it differentiates you from that. Almost every IT job is going to say industry certifications preferred. Some of them will say required. You got to have them. And the reason you have to have them is I don't have to wonder if you know the computer peripherals. If you don't have that A+ cert, Connor, you could just be a good liar. And I deal with that a lot, especially in security. You could be telling me a good story about how much you know. You know the buzzwords. Maybe, you put me at ease because you're kind of laughing and being real personable. Maybe I don't dig into the tech, but I really don't know how much you know. If you've got the A+ cert, I do know what you know. So in security, we have the CISSP. That's kind of considered the top certification. The reason I like the CISSP is because when somebody has it, it tells me right away that we speak the same language. It's an incredibly difficult certification to get. And once you have it, I know you know your stuff because there's no way to fake a CISSP cert. So any certification is the same way. The basic Cisco networking certs, you understand routing. You can tell me you understand routing and tell me the buzzwords and break out a subnet for me and explain it. Okay, great. But when you have that Cisco certification, I know for sure that you have that base level of knowledge. You should get every certification that you possibly can, which is why Meijer makes a donation to you guys every year to pay for those. So if you got an opportunity, just go for it. Yes, sir.
Okay, it's kind of a follow-up question. So we've gotten a couple certifications here this year, KCTC, like PowerPoint certifications.
Yeah.
Would that be worth our while to put it on our resume?
Well, you put everything on there.
Everything.
Yeah. I'll tell you why it would be good. I need help with PowerPoint all the time. And if I were interviewing you and you had certified in PowerPoint, I'd know, oh, good. Maybe you can help me with this little animation I'm trying to get done. Yeah, you never know what something that you do is going to, or something that you have is going to matter to that interviewer, right? Which is why we talk about putting your volunteer organizations, BPA and others, whatever it is that you're involved in, put them on your resume. It speaks a lot about you. And plus it may be something that goes, oh, I could use a PowerPoint person actually. And that's a legit story. I don't like working in PowerPoint. So yes, sir. Oh, and I'll get you.
You saved me from about 5 fights. We're going to get to this point where we're going to build a resume from scratch. We don't go to a website maker and then type it in and then have to pay for it over and over. and I get in arguments all the time. Again, we're older and we're more buddy-buddy-ish, I guess. Like, I'm used to black and white bullet points, get the stuff out there, and some kids usually always argue with me about they found this template that's very cool and awesome with colors all over it. Your thoughts on that?
No. Yeah, don't do that. If you guys are going to go into advertising, your resume could be a drone video with some high quality production value behind it to show how creative you are. Otherwise, don't do that. Don't make your resume colorful. It's just hard on the eyes. The best resumes are black and white, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced. That's it. I mean, bullet point information. Make it so I'm going to figure out most of what we need to learn when I'm interviewing you. What I want to know is high level information, right? Went to KCTC, took this class, got these certifications, proficient in these following skills. These are my past jobs. This is my education. These are my references. Boom. Make sure that summary, though, up top, when you guys create that, that's your opportunity to tell me a little bit about you. So make that summary really interesting. Capture my attention really quickly, right? Passionate team player looking for an entry-level job in information technology to learn and grow, blah, blah, blah. They'll help you with putting that together. But that tells me a lot. And then don't make it hard for me to read by using different fonts and colors, and it doesn't help. Actually, it just gets you kind of tossed aside. You had your hand first, and I'll come to you. Or you did. I'm sorry, sir.
So I guess my question is first question I guess is should you put outside projects that you've done on your resume?
Yeah. Yep.
And then I guess my follow-up question to that is is there such a thing of this resume that's too long?
You better believe it. If I were to list out after 25 years, if I were to list out everything that I did, nobody would read it. Nothing actually is kind of more of a discourager, I guess, than when somebody gives you a 4 or 5 page resume. I don't need all that, right? But if you worked, for example, I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Meijer. Underneath that, I may list a few bullet points, right? Responsible for the development and enhancement of an information security and technology risk program. Da 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 da. If I do that for the last 5 or 6 jobs that I've had, my resume is going to be a page, maybe a page and a half. And I've done this my entire life, all over the country for different companies. I don't need a 4-page resume. Nobody does. It's not going to get read. So yeah, keep it short, keep it to the point, and make your title or your cover page, make that, right? My background makes me, perfectly qualified for this position. And I'd love an opportunity to sit down and discuss more, something along those lines, right? I appreciate that. Everybody does. Because we'll learn more about you when we bring you into interview. That was a really good question. Yeah. Languages? Like second and third languages? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you should list those, right? Whether you're proficient or fluent, make sure you call that out, right? There are a lot. So Meijer has offices in Bangladesh and Hong Kong. And, if you are fluent in one of those languages, that can be really helpful because we have technology problems that arise in those areas. And a lot of them speak English as a second language. But if you're fluent in those, you bet. When you're doing support desk calls, if you're fluent in Spanish, put that down, or proficient in Spanish, put it down. It goes back to, what we were talking about with the little things. Yeah, project, right? Yeah, put it down there because when I see that, I can think, oh, you might be, because I'll tell you what happens a lot of times is you apply for a job, you may not get that job because you're not right for it. But when I find out that you're proficient in Spanish, we may have something for you, right? Because we have support opportunities that require people to be proficient in Spanish. So yeah, those things are good to call out because it may make you a good fit for another position.
Take one more question from Kate. We'll say thank you.
Okay. Yep. I got time, Joe. It's up to you. Yes, sir.
How many extra boxes do I get checked off if I'm
None. None. Nope. Yep. That's a really good question. I've never had anybody ask that. When I was in college, we used to have to print our resumes on parchment paper. Do you guys still do that? Man, good. Because it's too much. But that's what we had to go to, like Office Depot, find the parchment paper. It's really strange. Print it off, try to make it look all fancy, matching envelopes. Man, you don't need all that. No, so definitely don't need to laminate. Good question.
Can I ask you like a really quick question?
Yep. Last one, Joe. Yep.
All right, so we talked about social media a little bit earlier. If you're just like someone in my position where you don't have any, would it be better to make one that you know is going to be good and not political, or just not even bother with it?
Oh, man, what a great question. I'm glad we had time for this because I've actually got a really strong opinion on this. Yep. And you made me think of it when you said you didn't have one. Yeah. If you don't have a social media account today, should you create one anyway? Just make sure it's not political or offensive or controversial. All right. This is my opinion. For what it's worth, yes. And the reason, though, is from a security aspect. So being that I've led security for a lot of big companies, people target me a lot to steal my identity, to gain access to information about my personal life so they can leverage that to, contact somebody at Meijer and say, hey, this is Philip Keebler. They may give a little personal information. We call it phishing, right? They see what they can find out about me, use that to gain more information on somebody, stand up their own fake social media profile, and then start friending people at Meijer when it's not really me. You know how easy that is to do? You steal people's pictures. We've gotten better at finding people and prosecuting them, so it's a really bad idea. But criminals don't know. I mean, that's why they're criminals in a lot of cases, right? So they go out and they target you and come after you. The best thing you can do to protect yourself is create them before they do. So I have an Instagram account, a Twitter account, a Facebook account, LinkedIn account, Snapchat account. I don't use those. I do a little bit, but I just don't post on them. But I own them. And I own my domain too. So yeah, you should have your accounts. And that way, nobody can create them for you. It's not to say that they can't create a Philip Keebler and use a misspelling of my name, but it's not the same. Then I can file a cease and desist and sue them and all that stuff. But yeah, you want to do it before somebody else does it for you.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if these guys know, a lot of the young people here are the number one identity theft. Because you don't have a profile, you're clean, and you're easy to fake. I think that's great advice. That's the first time I've heard that.
That question was really fantastic because I actually thought of that when you mentioned your social media. Yeah. People don't talk about that a lot, but I talk a lot about identity theft and identity fraud. And believe us or not, this is going to shock you. And Mr. Pepper, I'm coming to you. And I'm going to get to you, Mia, too. Mia or Maya? Maya. I'll tell you guys, the number one group of people that fall for scams, millennials. And the reason for it, you guys, Gen Z, sweet. So those millennials, don't let Gen Z fall in this population, right? The reason, does anybody want to guess why millennials fall for scams more often than whatever I am? Yes. Yeah. How are you going to answer it?
Because they think that they don't want to believe in the fact that scams are real.
More trust in technology.
Yes.
And because it's doesn't seem as scary or doesn't look like it is.
You guys, I'm really impressed with you and both of your guys' answers. That's spot on. So the reality is millennials believe that they're too smart. They've been around technology their whole lives. And so they fall for the scams at almost like 30% more than the elderly. Here's the difference. They usually don't lose as much money because they catch on quicker. All right. So, right now it's tax season. I just did a podcast. I do a monthly for Meijer, and we talked about the tax season. It's one of the hottest times of the year for scams. They target the elderly. They target people that aren't originally from the United States. They may be here on visas. They don't understand our tax laws, so they call and they fork over lots of money because they think they're talking to IRS agents, et cetera. Don't ever think you're too smart for scammers. If you guys listen to, I know you don't have access to my podcast, but we talk a lot if you don't approach everything that you do with skepticism and that somebody is trying to scam you, you will absolutely get scammed. There were 17 billion scam phone calls in the United States during the first 5 months of 2018. Billion.
Can we get a hold of your podcast, or is that like Meijer only?
No, I can get a hold of it if you guys want it. I could get, yeah, I'll send it to you guys. But it's good. We talk about just ways to protect you and your family and things you should be aware of. It's what I'm passionate about. But yeah, what's going to be interesting is thanks for telling me the Gen Z stuff. All right, is that what they call them? I'll be curious how they do. But it's absolutely the millennials' comfort with technology that makes them vulnerable. Oh, so yeah, I certainly missed it by a long shot. Yes.
You guys look at like GPA stuff like that, like
The question was, do we look at GPA?
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
No. No. Look, matter of fact, you don't even have to put your GPA on your, I used to do that from college. I didn't do great in high school because I didn't apply myself. And then I realized a couple of years out of high school, life wasn't going to go the way I wanted. So then I went to school. I worked really hard and my GPA was right up top, graduated with the highest honors for my class. And I used to put my GPA down. I realize now it doesn't matter. What matters is you started something and finished it. That's all that matters. So,
Mr. Pepper's got one
Mr.
more,
Pepper?
and then we'll wrap it up.
So I'm going to throw you on the spot here.
yeah, please.
Looking for maybe like a pep talk or some correlation to your life also. If we were to ask this group on day one when they came into school, they all said that A+ is their goal. Okay, we know it's very hard. And now we are moving through the year where we have people that are stratified. We're somewhere on a 902, a 901, fundamentals, Microsoft. And I don't know that they get that they're only 16 and 17 years old. This is just the start of your career. If you don't have what you originally set out to accomplish, there is still time. There is no cutoff date that says like March 26th when we go to Davenport that nobody else can get an A+ or nobody else can get a fundamentals. Because maybe you haven't applied yourself and you want to start kicking that into gear because you're never going to stop learning. Unless maybe you're Mr. Keebler and you've arrived at the pinnacle of the world and you never need to take another college class again. But it might not work out that way.
Oh, man. All right. I think I know where Mr. Pepper's going with this. So I'm currently a college student, full-time, for my MBA at Davenport. Really? Yes. Good. Yeah, I don't care. I'm 45 years old. I definitely don't need to go back to school if I didn't want to. But I don't ever want to stop learning. What's fascinating for me is when you learn just one little thing, I don't care what it is, which is why I said, you can listen to me today or not. But if you took one little piece away from this, you can apply that and your life's going to be a little bit better. And so I'm going back to school for my MBA because finances have never been my strong suit. When I talk about finances, I mean from an accounting background, how a business operates from a general ledger standpoint, what they call G&L and all that kind of good stuff. I wanted to learn. So I enrolled and I'm going full time. I started January 7th. My first class was Management Marketing 520. I did that every night, every weekend. Didn't have one night out with my friends for 7 weeks. Finally did, had a week between classes, and now I'm in my first accounting class. Takes all my time. So I'm putting in like 16-hour days every day. That includes weekends to just get this MBA. So no, it's important. I want more out of life. And so pep talk, I'll give you guys a pep talk. This is one of my favorite sayings. So you listen to it, take it with you. I only know one thing for sure. What's the date today? Is it? All right. This applies to every single person in this room, including your instructors. It's March 4th, 2019. Yep. So I know this about all of you on March 4th, 2020. It applies to everybody, and I promise I'll get it exactly right. 1 year from today, each of you, your lives will be better or they will be worse than they are today. That's it. They won't be the same. You only have two options. They'll be better or worse, right? Get that? Believe that? You guys know why that is? Every decision that you make is going to determine that. Every single one. When you leave out of here. You know how many people I've had to see lose their jobs over stealing an iPad, stealing an iPhone because we had a room full of thousands and nobody's going to notice? Or somebody that took change. Honestly, these are real stories. Took change out of a desk because what was the big deal? Just wanted to buy a soda with it. Got fired from distribution centers for grabbing a candy bar that was damaged off a pallet. Threw their lives away because they went out drinking on the weekend and got in a car and got arrested or busted or charged with a crime. Or in the case of the guy I talked about who went out and got in a brawl in downtown Indianapolis and it cost him a job that would have paid him $95,000 a year to start. So he went back to, I mean, people throw their lives away, choose the behavior, choose the consequence. So as you guys go forward, so I wanted my life to be a little better. So what I chose to do was enroll in school like a crazy person and take on a full-time MBA program with a full-time vice president role at Meijer. I want my life to be better next year. So every decision you make, that's the good news and the bad news. It's all up to you. You can walk out of here. You know what you guys are doing behind closed doors and after hours. I don't. But if you want to be successful and have everything you've ever imagined, then make the right decisions. And a year from now, your life will be better. If it's not, you chose that. Here's your pep talk. How about that?
That's a good pep talk. Give him some snaps. Hey, just so you guys know, Mr. Keebler is accessible to you. He invited first session kids to find him on LinkedIn.
All you guys too.
You can also vet stuff that comes out of our mouths through him.
Yep.
Like if we're doing something that you think is stupid or doesn't make sense or is irrelevant, like setting up a small office, home office network, or learning the OSI model, or learning teamwork, you know, joining BPA, all these things, you can vet them through people. We expect you to, right? If I say something, I want you guys to vet it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I doubt that Mr. Keebler would come back or anybody in the industry and say, no, the A+ is a waste of time, or no, learning Microsoft Excel is a waste of time, or being with teamwork and learning communication is a waste of time. So you guys probably know that. That's why most people don't take me up on this offer. But you could take me up on the offer to vet things through Mr. Keebler. He's on our advisory. We need him to know what we do in class. We need him to advise us on our curriculum so we can get you guys in the best position possible to get a job in the future and make those good decisions that will also make good decisions for the rest of your life possible. These decisions you're making today to study, like you're doing 18-hour days. Some of you guys, I know they're doing A+. Instead of hanging out with your buddies or having fun, you are studying, right? And they all are teasing you, right? Like, oh, you're boring. Why are you? That's probably what your friends, my friends did the same thing. Come on, let's go have some fun. I'm like, no, I take this stupid test. I'd talk bad about it too, but I'd sit home and I'd study for the stupid test.
Yeah.
Because I want something better for myself and my family.
Yeah.
That